What if you could attract high-level clients, people who move fast, think big, and don't need hand-holding without running ads or chasing likes? My guest today, Jacob Rupp, went from being a spiritual guy to working with billion-dollar business leaders and now teaches others how to do the same. In this conversation, we're breaking down how to win dream clients and grow a business that gives you freedom and impact. Let's dive in. Jacob, you started as a rabbi. Suddenly you're working with CEOs running hundreds of millions. How did you know you were ready to coach people at that level? What gave you the confidence?
I like to demystify success. As long as success is outside of your environment, it's always going to be like this mystical thing. And, you could say this about dating, you could say this about business, you could say this about really anything, is when you hang out with what you think you want, it becomes like everything else. I remember my grandfather had a close friend who was the brother of one of Donald Trump's lawyers. And I was sitting with this guy, and this guy had been very successful in business. And he said, your first Mercedes is a Mercedes, and your second Mercedes is a car. So the reality is with business, with fitness, again, like you look at someone with huge muscles, if that's what you aspire to, or great athletes, it's only weird until you're around people long enough. Then you're just like, yeah, like this is what people do. This is what people drive. This is how people eat. This is how people lift. This is how people train. And despite not being in business, I was always around successful business people because I loved entrepreneurs and I saw them as people.
Being around them and coaching them, that's a whole different thing.
Here's the whole idea. What I believe when it comes to serving other people is like most people actually know what they need, what they want, and what they have to do. And really they're in their own way. And the way that they're in their own way is usually something that has nothing to do with their business. So again, you want me to like create a strategy to grow your real estate portfolio? I have no idea. I never owned, I didn't own a real estate empire, but the guys I was working with did, and they had done it multiple times in multiple different industries. And what was stopping them wasn't what to do, it was them. And I was really good at helping people get out of their own way. So just by creating frameworks, so again, it was never about me and me being the sage on the stage. My whole framework of leadership is that the other person is actually the leader of themselves. And so if you can help them get out of their way and you do it with humility, then you can work with anybody at any time because you don't really need to rely on your client. Like, again, if I was trying to take someone who had never bought a building before and help them from the ground up, yeah, I'd really have to show them this is how you do it. But for me, I was working with people that had been super successful for decades, smarter than me, tons more money than me. And so for me, it was much more about sitting in service with them and being like, hey, where do you want to go and what's stopping you? And inevitably, like we figure it out pretty quickly. And then how to create that level of resourcefulness. True story. I was working with a guy who owns a sprawling empire in real estate. And, one of the things that he was suffering with was he's like, I don't even know how to get to the next level. Now, again, I had no idea either. This guy had made, his kids had more money than me. I think he said his 7-year-old has, 12 rental properties already that, already generating cash flow. And, I said to him, I'm like, well, is there anyone else in your city that's doing better than you? And he's like, yeah. And he named off the top, like that, top 3 guys who had built much bigger than him. I'm like, would they be open to having a conversation? He was like, hell yeah. Like I know 2 of them and the third guy seems like a great guy. I said, so part of what I want you to do is to meet with these guys and say, what is my next step? So even though I didn't have to know the next step, this guy already knew who he could ask, who could directly help him. And that created, again, for him, an exponential break. And it was awesome because he loved me. He came back to work with me. He didn't fire me on the spot because I helped him create resourcefulness. But the resources are all out there. You just have to help people see it.
In a minute, Jacob will explain how he gets high-level clients without any funnel, ad, or post. But first, what's really different about working with high-level clients?
It's just that they're easier. They're easier because ultimately, if you're working with someone, I joke about having these existential crises. I was speaking to a client of mine who's aspiring to be a very high level performer, and we were sketching out the next steps for her business, and she was like, God, I'm just like I'm nervous to I don't really want to sell, and I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it seems hard. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is happening right now? And the reality is that the real high level people, they are not afraid to do what it takes. And the fact that it's uncomfortable, it doesn't stop them. And so real killers, they're going to go after it, whether you're there or not. So I actually think it's a hell of a lot easier to work with high level people because they already want it and they're going to go for it, whether you're there or not. They'll probably fire you if you're not there for it. But at the end of the day, they're going to have what they want.
Right. And what surprised you most about working with them?
The people are people. there's no level of greatness where you're not going to get screwed over by your ego, where you aren't chasing certain things, where, your wife or your kids or your partner or your business partners aren't going to throw you for a loop. People are people.
Can you share just a small short example?
Yeah, I mean, I had one of my favorite clients, and this guy, he makes more in 5 minutes than most people make over their entire career. Um, he came to me and he said, "I really want to have more intimate interactions with my wife of many years. They've got family." And he says, I yell at her. I yell at her about how it's not working and I don't know what to do. And I've gone, thousands of hours of therapy and all the money. And I said, "Well, what if you stopped yelling at her about not being intimate? Maybe she'd be more interested in being intimate." He's like, "Oh, I never thought about that." And he comes back to me, 3 days later, and he's like, "Oh my God, it totally worked." And I'm like, "Yeah." So that's an example where, again, this guy, while we're talking now, he's already calculated 5 more strategies for the next 10 years of business. But that little thing, which mattered to him more than I'll tell you all the millions in the world, like that little switch we were able to do just by just me listening to what he was saying. So I think that's kind of the framework of how, even all successful people are people at the end of the day. And we're all subject to the laws of humanity.
Because he's so focused on the business, he doesn't see anything but.
I don't know if it's about focus. I think it's about competence and I think it's about growth, and I think that going back to what we talked about at the top of our conversation, it's like, great people are always going to be in the process of getting better. And again, if you look at the average person, those aren't great people. So, most really high performers are unbalanced by nature. And I don't know if it's the hyper focus or it's the hyper expectation. But ultimately, whatever it was, the dynamic was off. And there was a desire to change, and that's why he invested in working with me. So it's like, I'd never found, again, like everyone's always like, a lot of the times when I train like newer coaches, they're looking for the people that have never done much. And I'm like, if you want to find someone that's for sure going to hire you, find people that are doing a lot. And again, people are like, "Well, do you have a coach?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've got like 8 currently." And why? Because anything I care about, I want to get help with.
Were you ever afraid that they see you as something like wasn't big enough for them, didn't come from the right background?
It's interesting because I feel like the rabbi and what I do in business, it's all along the same continuum of the mission. I don't think there's any departure. The mission stays the same of trying to uncover what I'm capable of doing when it comes to helping other people, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone, developing myself in terms of again, really, this is one channel of development, which is my bank account, which is the part that I really needed to go into. That's why I made the shift from working in nonprofit to building my own business.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the bank account.
As I grew and we had more kids, like my income didn't really improve that much, and I started finding myself in tighter and tighter financial straits. And again, the average, I think around the world, like a lot of people, John D. Rockefeller, when he started the education system, talked about how, you want to create a class of people who work for the free thinkers. And I was definitely part of that class of people that was doing the day to day. Even though I love what I did, um, there was never going to be a lot of financial upside for me because I was working for somebody else, and especially in the nonprofit world, and so it got tighter and tighter. And I would always make these very like half half-hearted promises to my wife that like we'd figure it out, we'd, make it work. And, her aspirations and my aspirations were very different in the sense that like I think she really wanted stability. We lived in LA, so the cost of living was very high. So she was like, "How do we just make ends meet?" And from a very young age, I was always attracted to like the quote unquote the good life. I remember like putting on like a leather jacket because I thought that's what rich people would wear in high school, and going and trying to test drive Ferraris when I was like literally in high school. And obviously, they didn't let me near the cars, but
The Rabbi and the Ferrari. That
yeah,
is that a
exactly.
book? That should be a book.
The truth is, it's really interesting because I was driving when it just came out, the BMW M4, which is like this beast of a car. It ruins most other cars because it is so fast and it's just
I
like
know what you're talking about. Yeah, it
yeah.
looks like a Lamborghini a little bit, right?
Exactly, and I got, like, bright yellow, and it was funny because I pulled up in front of the local, like, pizza shop here, and this kid came out, and he's like, "Dude, let me record your car for my YouTube channel." I was like, "Okay," and he's like, "So what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I used to be a rapper." He's like, "What? You used to be a rabbi?" So the truth is that I think that, we all have ways of serving and being, and breaking convention, and so being the rabbi in the Ferrari or the BMW or the Porsche Turbo. Like it's fun and something I like doing.
In our previous conversation, you said you don't use funnels, ads, or a ton of content and still attract high ticket clients. So, how? What's the system? If you want to go deeper, I've got a free guide for you, the Burnout Free Business Guide. It's linked in the description. Grab it now and start building the business of your dream that scales without draining you.
So it's a pretty simple framework. First of all, the reason why most people want to do that is because they're lazy, or they believe in this mystical thing. They're being sold a dream by marketers, just like we're sold a dream by college. We're sold a dream by marketers. And I'll probably open a marketing company because it's really a very high profit business. I'm going to want to do it with more integrity by being really upfront with people. The reality is, most people think, oh yeah, like just get me people in front of me and I can help them. And the reality is like you probably can't help them, and it's easy to get people in front of you. Can you serve them and can you sell them are the two questions that, most people aren't able to do. I've burned through over $1 million in marketing. So I'm speaking from a place of someone who's actually screwed this up a lot. Russell Brunson talks about, you're one funnel away from making millions. And that's totally true. The reality is, though, that one funnel away for a lot of people is going to cost more money than they have and take longer than they're willing to spend, which is kind of how life works. So the reversal is, how do you find high end, high ticket, whatever you want to call it, clients, like really great clients? Is, first of all, you have to know, who are you looking for? Like, actually, who are you looking for? When you're saying, "Hey, I need a marketer," you want them to do the hard work. You know what I'm saying? It's like you want it's like, well, I want a great marriage, but I want someone else to be nice to my spouse. It's like, well, that's not going to make a great marriage. What's going to make a great marriage for your spouse and that person? It's not going to help you though, right? So the reality is that you need to know who you're looking for. You need to understand what are their challenges. Like, actually, again, all these up and coming coaches are talking about, oh, I want to coach CEOs. It's like, you're not a CEO. You never talked to a CEO. How do you know what a CEO's problem is? How do you even want to help a CEO? Right? So you have to know who you want. You have to understand what their problems are. And then you have to understand how they make decisions and where they are. So I would much rather be in the room with the person and have the credibility of one of their trusted advisors than I would run some stupid funnel and hope someone's going to hire me off of LinkedIn. I don't hire based on random people. No matter how good the copy is, 9 times out of 10, the people I've hired are people that are either referred to me by people I trust, or I've done my own research and I look up to these people, which is something that they're not retroactively doing. So that would be the idea, is essentially, who do you want to help? Where are those people, and how do those people make decisions? And so again, you could spend a million years trying to build that fantastic marketing funnel that's going to land you Steve Jobs or whoever's alive right now doing this kind of stuff. Or if you're like, wow, Steve Jobs talks to 3 people, and the first 2 people, I have no idea how to get a hold of them, but this other guy shops at Whole Foods on Thursdays, and he needs pears and I'm going to pick 3 pears and give them to this guy. That's actually how Jesse Itzler started his business. He's a billionaire. Again, like, he didn't know how to get it. He couldn't afford to get into like this big meeting, or it was closed. So there was one Starbucks. He bought all of the baked goods for the Starbucks that was next to the conference thing. And he literally just saying, and he would have them on the table and he would just give them away. So every single person went to get like a muffin. They couldn't get the muffins because he had bought all of them, but he had the muffins he was giving away. So he was having authentic conversations with everyone he wanted to talk to it was a lot cheaper than getting to the conference. That's how you think about it.
How do I template that for me?
For you. Okay. Do you know who you want to work with?
For me, is every business owner who wants to scale without the hassle of trying to all these marketing methods that don't work.
Perfect. So I would tie that down, and we can make it this as tactical as you want. You need a name. You need a name or names. People always like, Jacob, what do I say when I reach out to this person? I'm like, well, who is he or she? Why are you putting them on this list? Why do you even want to reach out to this person? Oh God, I don't know. So you have to make it, first of all, very, very specific, right? So I want to reach out to this specific person. And then you have to ask yourself, why do I want to reach out to them? And again, if they are a faceless name, a business owner, right? Someone comes to me, they're like, Jacob, I want to help you grow your business. I'm like, do you know what my business is? And they're like, no, I don't know. It's like, okay, well, why the hell do you think you can help me? So you actually have to get a point where I need to figure out who this person is. If I want to work with a business owner that wants to grow, what business owner, what industry, what does growth mean? Again, if you make me a couple extra dollars, I'm not going to spend a lot of money with you because I'm not looking to make a couple extra dollars. If you can be like, Jacob, I can blow up your business. I can, 5 extra business in the next 3 months. I'm be like, sick. how do you know? Because I'm pretty smart. I've been doing it for a while and I've spent a lot of money. What do you see that I don't see that is going to allow you? And if you can make that case to me, I'm going to buy it on the spot. But the reality is, most people haven't done the research to actually understand what their client needs, what their client's done. And they look like idiots because, again, if you're talking to the person that literally does the work, they literally, again, if they're a savvy business owner, they'll know all of the approaches they're taking. They'll probably know why they don't work. They'll probably know what their objective is. So by you creating clarity around who do I want to help, what do I want to help them with, why do I want to help them, and how do I think this will actually work for them, that's how you can more or less have this perfect pitch that's going to work every time. Because I will give you $3 if you could help me make 4, or I will give you $3 if you could help me make 6. But if I'm not sure what the hell you're doing, I don't really know where or how you're going to help. You don't know, hey, we're going to help with your mind. I'm like, I have so many people reach out to me. I literally almost I separated from someone recently because there wasn't enough clarity around what we were actually doing. And so to solve this problem, I'd put X price on this problem I want solved. To solve that problem, it's a variable thing. And so he was trying to charge like exponential for something that I had a very fixed cost on. So you got to be able to get on the same page and act. This is what I tell all my clients. It's like, get clarity on what you're actually going to help them with so they can feel like they're in a safe, warm blanket with absolute surety. Well, what are we working on? And then what's the value of that? If you help me get 5 new clients, I know how much money that is for my business. So I'll know how much I'm willing to spend on you helping me with that. Make sense?
It does. So that's the research part. What's the next step?
So the next step is you have to get clear on the easiest way to reach out to that person, which is, again, I train my coaches on essentially 4 different components. The first thing is people have to know who you are. Like, what do you do? Right? Because if I'm not sure what you do, why am I going to talk to you? Right? Are you an expert in this area? If you're like, oh, I'm an author, I'm gonna help you with your lead gen. I'm like, cool. Did you ever do lead gen before? I thought you were an author. And you're like, yeah, I'm an author and I like lead gen. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Right? But if I know that you're an expert in lead gen and I know that my problem is lead gen, right? Cool. Okay, we can have a conversation. So the first thing is when you're approaching someone, you want to know, did they know what you do? And the second thing that you want to figure out is, you need to generate curiosity so that they want to talk to you. Because in the nature of human dynamics and the nature of conversation, if I feel like I'm getting talked to, I shut down, I don't listen. If I feel like I'm interested in talking to you, so then I will like hang on your every word. So if you can't create their desire to talk, to listen to you, you're not going to be able to effectively help them or really even get that much information. Does that make sense?
It does.
When you show up at the doctor, the doctor's not pitching you. You're showing up at the doctor and you're telling the doctor what's wrong. So that's the second component. Do you have any questions about that?
We have the research on my part, knowing about them, and then knowing what I'm here to serve, what my offer is going to be exactly for them. Got that.
Cool.
Next.
Second point is you have to connect with them and you have to be able to, in their mind, cement what you do as the expert. So again, there's a bunch of different ways you can do that.
What's your favorite ways to make that connection?
So for me, it's actually super easy, which is that I want to engage them in conversations about things that they're interested in. So again, I don't really talk to strangers. I usually only talk to people that I know of me or know people that I've worked with that can connect in. So I use this, there's a whole concept of social networking where a trusted friend is always, you got to talk to Jacob. He is a master of coaching. He's a master of mindset. He's a master of lead gen, whatever you want to know. If I'm trying to get like a high level client, I'm always going to be trying to figure out who knows that what I do that I'm excellent at that can make an introduction for me. Oh man, Tom was just telling me all about you. He says that you completely changed his business. Boom, I'm in, right? Now I'm not this random dude that's pitching him. I'm an expert already. And he trusts Tom, so he'll start trusting me.
Right. So get introduced.
I think introductions are the most effective way.
That's your go-to tactic.
100%. Or again, the way I think about it is, there are thinking about like ripe fruits, right? Like you always want to pick the ripe fruit, but you always want to be planting. So one of the reasons why I'm doing consistent content or I'm doing webinars or I'm talking to lots of people is a much slower tactic. Kind of like you mentioned, we got on the call today, is like, oh man, I saw your post. It was super cool. That resonated with me. Now, again, if I'm like, hey, look at my post as like the first thing I lead with, now you're like, why am I going to look at your post? Why am I going to waste time? But if you've been watching me over time, right, then you're like, oh crap, you're the guy. I closed one client that was, oh, she was phenomenal. And it was the easiest close in the world because I'm like, so, I can tell you a little bit about what I do. She's like, dude, I read your book. I'm like, oh, she's like, and I see you do this, this, and this. I was like, oh, you're going to give me money now. She's like, yes, I'm going to give you money now. So when you can create, now again, not everyone's read my book, and I can't rely on people reading my book in order to talk to them. I'm going to do things that are much faster, which is why the social connections works much quicker. But I'm also consistently putting things out. I'm consistently talking to people. I'm consistently networking because that also creates an effect that maybe not today, maybe not in 6 months, but in a year's time, you'll know about me because again, it's going to pop up. You're going to see people commenting on my stuff. So I'm going to be building a brand slowly over time. I don't need it to produce now because I'm doing things that'll produce action now. I'm reaching out to people. I'm leveraging my network. I'm talking to people directly and I'm planting for the future so that there's a paper trail from when you start to hear about me. Oh man, this guy's all over the place. He totally knows.
What do you say to the person making the connection?
Love it. Great question. No one cares. No one gives a crap about you. And no one cares. So you always want to figure out what do they care about that would incentivize them to make that connection. Again, I tell everyone, it's like, hey, can you connect me to random people? It's like, why the hell would I connect you to random people? But if you know, again, usually the easiest way is money, but it depends on what people are looking for. Hey, if you're able to connect me to someone, I will happily give you a crazy again, I'll give you money. You'll be like, oh, okay, I can think about that. But let's say you don't care about money, or let's say I don't trust you, or I wouldn't risk my relationships for money, right? Well, maybe what is that driver that people care about? Here's the secret. Also, ultimately, people love to talk about themselves, right? So even if you could ask, hey, what would be that thing that you would need in order to introduce someone to your network? Right? Again, it doesn't have to be me, but I want to know, oh man, I got to trust them and I really want to look good so I can grow in my own career. It's like, sweet. So let me show you how by trusting me, you can grow in your own career by introducing me to this Tom, right? So you always need to be in the mind of whoever you're asking a favor. What's the incentive for them to want to do the thing you want? So always lead with them and nobody cares about you.
Would you do that on LinkedIn or people you know? Who do you know that know him, her?
I play close to my chest all the time. I play close to my chest all the time, which means I'm doing two things pretty consistently. Number one is I'm always meeting new people and I'm meeting people when I don't need them. Right? I'm always having conversations with anyone, everyone at all. And we don't know each other that well. I'm talking to you, right? Maybe you know someone. I have no idea where this relationship will go and I don't even care. I'm authentically out there talking to people all the time. You look at my
This
schedule,
strategy is ongoing. It's not
ongoing.
when you need it, it's
I
ongoing.
know. Yeah. Everyone, again, like it's like, I need a lot of energy at that one moment. Like you train again, if you think about the average, like a fighter, right? Or someone that wants self-defense, you can't start training for a fight when you're in the fight, right? No, the guys that can win in a fight are the guys that are doing it cold long before they need it. You get in some kind of a jujitsu scrap, like the who's going to win is the guy that's doing it all the time, right? And what's shocking as I was doing some of MMA is realizing how absolutely terrifying it is to actually get into any confrontation because you don't know like how many little things you have to know in order to be effective in a fight, right? Doesn't matter how big and strong you are. If you fight someone that knows what they're doing, they will take you down. They will choke you out before you even threw your first punch, right? They see it coming from a mile away. So the reality is I'm always trying to figure out, I'm always in practice of business because I never know when I need it. So I look at every single thing I'm doing as just reps. And then the crazy thing is you could call me, you're like, hey, Jacob, do you know this person? I'll be like, actually, I do. And I was like, oh crap, how'd you know that person? It's like, well, I know this person, right? So the idea is always be in the process of creating new connections. So usually if I have to go to LinkedIn, it probably means I'm stretching too far anyway, because it's already too cold of a connection. Does that make sense? So 9 times out of 10, the people I want to do business with are much closer to that than random strangers on LinkedIn or connections of connections.
Hey, I got a question for you. How do you feel when someone asks you to make an introduction or connect them to a potential client? Do you feel awkward, embarrassed, or do you see it as an opportunity to help and strengthen the relationship with both sides? Let me know in the comments. I really hope that a lot of people will hear this conversation and realize this.
Well, here's the truth is though, like this is like diet and exercise. Like nobody wants to hear it and everyone wants the faster way. But the reality is if you look at the people that are truly successful in business, it's because they are known, they invest in their relationships, they're very intentional about every single conversation. They don't have time to waste.
But many people will say, okay, but I'm not known yet. So what do I do now before I am known. What do most people get wrong about building trust and authority?
So I don't so that's the funny thing is, there was a rabbi friend of mine that said when he saw me flip my second car, he's like, "Dude, when you get the third sports car, we got to talk because you're never going to be satisfied." And I'm like, "The truth is, I don't want to talk to you because I don't want to talk to people that are satisfied." So
Right.
for me, like I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Like I always compare myself to people that are doing better than me. And as soon as I get there, I find the person that's better than them. Right. So, and again, that's a personality type that I can't. So, you saying I've built my business, I haven't built anything yet. You say I've built my name out there, I don't have it. Nobody knows me. Right. And again, I'll tell clients, I'm like, look, I've worked with people that have 500,000, a million followers, that are well known. It's like, I don't have that. Right. I don't have a big social profile yet. Now, so what am I doing? Daily, 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 I'm giving value. And you can do that anytime, anywhere without what you're starting. Again, give value by smiling at someone in the gym. I have a client that I work with. She closes high paying clients, people she meets at Trader Joe's, people she meets on the airplane, people she meets at her gym. Why? Because she's always giving value. She's always smiling. She's always engaging. She's always having a conversation. And so that's the whole point. Like people think there's some magical thing where if I'm famous enough, I've worked with people that are super famous. They make no money. Now, again, I don't really care how famous I am if I'm not rich. I want to be rich. Fame is coming and wealth is coming as a way to serve other people. Right? I want to help other people with my name. I want to help other people with my money. But again, if I just have like fame for the sake of fame, I don't have a business, like get out of here. I don't care. I'd much rather, right? So the idea is you always want to be giving. Give, 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 give. And you can give to the checker at the store as easily as you can give to the CEO that runs a Fortune, 50 company.
Amazing. So yeah, my next question was if I want to move up to working with top tier clients, what's the one thing I must have in place before I make that leap? And it sounds like it's knowing that you need to always give value, smile, or isn't another thing?
No, I think it's more humility, which means why do you think you deserve to work with these kinds of clients?
Isn't that because I want to?
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to, you'll do the work. So the point is, nobody let Steph Curry get on the Warriors and be the best player or LeBron James. You like these guys worked their butt off, right? Any champion is not afraid. That's the whole point. I think about fitness in this regard. It's like, I was in good shape, then I got out of good shape. And then there's this point where you look at yourself and you grab your stomach, you're like, damn it, I got to get back, right? And so what is that like? You go back in the gym, you smell the sweat, you got to get your hands dirty, you got to do the thing. I guarantee you the most effective CEOs, there's a guy, Andy Frisella, who's fantastic. He always talks about like, he'll mop the bathroom if he needs to mop the bathroom because it's his freaking company. If the bathroom's dirty, he'll clean it. Right. And he created, again, talks about his gym. He got this mega complex in St. Louis. Every single weight is impeccable. And he will be the one that so the point is, if you want to work with top tier performers, work with lower tier performers, earn your way, get your way up, be exceptional in the small things. Everyone wants to jump right to the top. Again, I always talk about that. It's like, this is the truth. I've made so much more money from people I worked with a guy who runs $500 million companies. I remember talking to him. Elon Musk tweeted something, one of his businesses went up, like that kind of wealth, right? And when I was raising my prices from a very low rate to a little bit less low rate, he was like, I don't know, the business can't really afford it. I've got someone paying me 10x that doesn't have any money because I'm providing the real value that they want. So again, for me, I look at it from a business perspective. I want the clients that will pay me the most to get the most benefit. I don't care your title. I don't care your impact, whatever. That doesn't matter to me. I'm looking where I can win. So most people like, I want to work with executive CEO. It's like, you don't have the mentality of an executive or CEO because the CEO will get his hands dirty with the small stuff. You have to earn your way into every single room. And if you can't, and you aren't willing to do that, you even if you get in the room, it's by accident and you'll be one of those like flash the pan, one hit wonders.
I got it. So what you're saying is don't immediately chase people who look like they're going to be your biggest clients or your top tiers because your top tiers is inside. Is the people that really wants to grow. They
Who
have the
wants your help?
mindset.
Yes.
Who
Yes.
want your help and who believe that they can 2x, 5x, 10x themselves. They don't have to be there right now, but they are willing to pay for that. They're willing to do the work. Those are the top tier clients. And that's reframing
The-
what a top tier client is. I
yeah.
love that. I love that.
Right. Right. Again, it goes back to like fighting. It's usually the guys that are the loudest that are the easiest to take care of. It's the quiet people who are the actual kill. Again, you interview like these, like I happen to love, you see the Navy SEALs or the MMA fighters, like those guys are quiet, they're nice, they're humble, they try to get out of every fight. And it's only when there's that last second that they will turn around and slaughter you on the spot, right? Because again, they know they can do it, so they don't have to prove it. And so if you look, the successful coaches, they can sit quietly by the sideline. They don't have to be the loudest. I don't want to put out names. I know so many business coaches that are on these big stages. They talk big games. They're all freaking broke, right? And the reason why they're going on the stage is because they want to make money, right? The people you want to listen to are the ones who already made the money, right? And they're quiet. And success is quiet. Success is confident. It's not the people that are making a lot of noise 9 times out of 10.
The quiet authority.
Yes, sir.
What habits help you to stay energized, focused, and present, especially while working with high-performing clients or coaching your coaches?
I have to lead by example. So
Okay.
whatever I'm telling someone else to do, I have to have done it my own way better or with more efficiency. So again, that
Is
means,
that a habit?
is that a habit? It's a habit at this point. Yeah. Yeah. So if
Okay.
I'm going to tell someone, have a big vision, I got to have a big vision. If I have to tell someone you got to invest in coaches, I got to pay my own coaches. If I tell someone your health and your fitness matters, I have to prioritize my health and my fitness. If I tell someone your spirituality matters, I got to prioritize my spirituality. Your family matters, same thing, right? So again, I have to be consistently in a growth zone if I want to work with people that are also in a growth zone. Because as soon as and again, I see this a lot, as soon as you yourself are comfortable, but you're talking to people that are growing, you're going to fall out of alignment. And as soon as you see, again, I want my coaches, I want the people I work with to be kicking more butt than me. I don't want them to be complacent. So I have to create urgency and a lack of contentment in every area of my life. And I have to work really hard to try to get better in every area that matters to me.
If you had to start over today, no network, no brand, nothing, what would be your first strategy to attract the clients that you want?
So number one, I would have to work on myself to be someone that is attractive. And I'm not talking about physically attractive, but someone that's doing something, someone that has a mission, someone that has a cause. And then I would start, like we talked about, from the ground up, which is I'd serve the people that are the closest to me.
Got it.
Easy.
Jacob, the last question is a traditional question that I ask every guest here on the show. What does reaching the tipping point of success mean to you?
Means I got to find another tipping point. Just push it down the road. It's success. Potential is a horizon. And if you never get there. So it's just like, fine. Again, it was a great story. Just very quickly, Ted Turner, who is the big, cable mogul. His dad was in absolute abject poverty growing up, and he had a dream. He wanted to get a Rolls Royce and a plane. And one other thing, I forgot what it was. He got his Rolls Royce, he got his plane. As soon as he did that, he stopped growing the company. Within a few weeks, he had died. Okay. So the idea is you have to consistently create great. Again, it might not be, again, if you don't want 15 Bentleys, then forget 15 Bentleys. It doesn't matter, but find those horizon level goals and always be pushing it out.
Wow, that's amazing, because the last question was for the person watching this who knows they want to grow but doesn't feel ready yet. Just get ready.
I'm also
You
not
might
ready
die
yet.
every
I'm also not ready yet.
second.
Yep. That's it. You're never ready. You're never ready.
You're never
Awesome, my
ready.
friend.
Go for it. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for your time. Thank you very much
Appreciate
for this conversation, Jacob. Hey guys, if this conversation gave you value, do me a favor, drop a comment below. What's one shift you're ready to make after hearing Jacob's story? As always, I'll be testing key strategies in this interview with Jacob in my own business and share the results with you in a future video, so you'll know it's gonna work for you too. Let me know. Can't wait to hear it.